So the Oklahoma Sooners went out there yesterday and straight handled business, hanging 70 plus points on an opponent, and we need to talk about it. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Were you surprised at how Oklahoma went out there and handled business yesterday? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification, because I do constant college football content and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though small, are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's talk about this, because I get it. I had a lot of people saying that there's really not going to be much to take away from this game because of who the opponent is. And I certainly hear you. And in a way, I don't disagree. However, the reason why ultimately I do believe there was something to take away from this game is when one of the questions we have for the Sooners is, can you come out against an opponent that you easily should beat and start the game with a level of intensity and carry that level of intensity through all four quarters? Then of course there was something we could have gotten from this game. And that's exactly what Oklahoma did. Now at the end of the day, we still want to see them do it against a top flight opponent. Of course, there's no doubt about that. But one of the questions we had is, can the Sooners be disciplined for all four quarters against an opponent that they should beat? And they showed us yesterday that was of no problem at all. Hanging 70 plus points and having a successful day, no matter how you slice it. The defense was flying to the ball, causing turnovers, wreaking havoc, and looking like we expected them to look like. The offense looked alive. Spencer had a much better game than against Tulane, which first and foremost, I think we also need to address something that I talked about last week right after the Tulane game. You know, in the instant reaction, it's always easiest to pick on a team such as OU when you're going up against Tulane and say, oh, well, you should have crushed that team. First and foremost, I said after that game, Tulane had an incredible scheme going into that game. They identified something and they attacked exactly what they saw, and they did it really successfully. And then they backed that up this past weekend, looking good, right? So that's first and foremost. I think Tulane is a little bit better than people expect, and they had a really solid game plan for the Sooners. That was a team that, if you watched the live stream last week, which be sure to check out the live stream happening tomorrow, little shameless plug there, happening at about 4 o'clock, see you there. But back to this. If you look at how Tulane came out last week, that was a team that had spent every second of their offseason preparing perfectly for Oklahoma. Let's be honest. I mean, they spent their time really well preparing for the Sooners, and they came out and played a great game last week. Hats off to Tulane. But at the end of the day, even though Tulane did an incredible job preparing for Oklahoma and executing in that game, Oklahoma still didn't put themselves in the best positions against Tulane, and that's exactly why I said there's something we can take away from this game. Is Oklahoma disciplined? Are they intense? Are they putting themselves in a good position? Check, check, check. They absolutely took it to Western Carolina, showing out in all phases of the game. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a win that I'm looking to carry over into other weeks. Eric Gray only touched the ball 9 times, but he had 74 yards for an average of 8.2. Caleb Williams had 4 rushes for 60 yards, 15 average. That kid right there, I wouldn't be surprised at all if during the course of the season we start seeing packages with him on the field, making a defense guess, is he going to throw it or is he going to run it? Because if he takes off, man, he's an elite runner. He really is. Like, I would not be surprised at all to see some packages for Williams this year. I'm really intrigued about that, actually. Let me know if you think that we will see some packages for Williams to throw off a defense. Comment down below. But then, you know, extending past Caleb Williams, you have Kennedy Brooks, who had 6 carries for 48 yards, averaging 8 yards a carry. The Oklahoma running game as a whole did a really good job. 38 attempts, 277 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. And defensively, what can I say? Oklahoma took it to them defensively, winning every aspect of the game, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. At the end of the day, I don't disagree that Oklahoma should have handled this team. But when a question needs to be asked if you can do it with intensity, there is something we can take away from this game. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And it's good sometimes for teams to kind of get punched in the mouth early on in the season. You'd much rather have what happened to Oklahoma happen week 1 than later on in the season where you might not have as much time to fix it. It's the exact same thing I just said with Nick Saban's rat poison rant. I'd much rather Nick Saban deliver that rant going into week 2 of college football than deliver that rant at the back end of the schedule when it's straight up in the grind portion of the schedule and you don't have the time to fix it. Whereas now you have a bit more time to get on top of that. And Oklahoma looked to have gotten on top of it. Very interested to see how the Sooners look going forward because I expected them to blow out Western Carolina. Everybody did. I didn't expect them to put 70-plus points on them, right? I don't expect anybody to put 70-plus points on anybody while holding them scoreless. That's a statement. That's a statement. So, Oklahoma fans, good win. Hop down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Let me know what you're thinking about next week's game. And once again, be sure to check out the live stream happening tomorrow at 4 Central. That's it. See ya.